again, just like adding some kind of credibility to what to what they're saying. Another trigger is urgency. If you add urgency to your offers, immediately you get an increased conversion rate. Or again, if that was ever an issue, if people delaying the decision was one of the reasons why you're losing orders, then by adding urgency, you'll gain more. And this is something that Dell do just all the time. There's always a reason why you should urgently order today from Dell and not tomorrow. And as you can see here at the moment, they've got a deal which is the Dell 10 days of deals, 9 days left, and every day they're putting up a different offer which ends at the end of the day. So they're kind of constantly creating an urgency and constantly making people decide to order today rather than defer it to maybe next year or whatever. Similar to urgency is scarcity. If your visitors feel that your prospect is in scarce supply, then they'll immediately put a higher value on it. And that's something, I mean, we've shown the De Beers Diamonds website here, but diamonds in general. But anything that's in scarce supply immediately is seen as having greater value. And again, fairly similar is exclusivity, in that some people want to spend more money just for the sake of it, because it puts them because it gives them exclusivity. So in lots of situations, people aren't looking for the cheapest option; they're looking for the most expensive option, and it's worth remembering that. And it doesn't have to be for your whole business, but to at least have an option for the people who want to spend loads of money, because it would be horrifying to think that you were turning them away because you weren't charging enough. Here's the one before. Ben mentioned about how you need to be just finding any excuse you can to sell face-to-face to your clients. And this is one situation we had. We were selling O2. We were responsible for selling O2 SIM cards and for marketing them to visitors to the UK and to overseas travellers. And again, because it was a web store, one of the problems we had was we just didn't really, it was very hard to get the feedback. So we organised a trial at Birmingham Airport where our staff were all there just for one day, or was it a couple of days, and we were speaking to people and just finding out what it took, selling face-to-face and just understanding all the issues, what they liked about the product, what they didn't. But the reason I'm showing this here is because of another technique, which is advertising in disguise, where if you can get it so that your advertising isn't seen as advertising, then people immediately, they don't have the guard up. People don't like looking at advertising, or at least they certainly don't think they enjoy looking at advertising. So if you can find some way of getting your advertising to fit into a certain situation without it even appearing to be advertising. Here we've got, we put the advert on a plasma screen, and as you know, there are plasma screens all around airports with important information. And the headline was important visitor information, which it was because they could save a load of money. And do you want free incoming calls in the UK? Please take a free UK visitor SIM. And so that's a good example. But there are loads. Once you start looking around, you'll notice that there are a load of different companies who advertise things. But you don't even think of them as companies sometimes, or you certainly don't see it as advertising. So it's worth keeping an eye out for it, because there are examples everywhere for this kind of thing. A really famous one was AOL, who built their whole business on giving away free CDs with 100 free hours in the first month, to the point where people would take several of these CDs from outside supermarkets just because it seemed like a valuable thing to have at the time. And so AOL were just kind of sneaking in with people kind of forgetting that they were being advertised to here. One of the biggest things with any kind of direct response ordering, over the web or whatever, is getting over that inertia of just because someone wants something doesn't mean that they'll go to the effort of getting the credit card out, going through all the shopping cart process. And there is an inertia, there's a certain amount of energy they have to overcome just to actually order. What you want is that inertia working on your side. And an incredibly powerful way of getting that inertia working on your side is to sell them a subscription, a monthly subscription or whatever, rather than selling them a one-off. If you sell them something once, then the next month, if you want to sell it again, you have to make the same effort, you have the same inertia to overcome. They might be busy the next month, they might not get round to it. If you can sell them a monthly continuity, then you sell them once, and then next month comes around, they're busy, and they actually ought, their busyness plays in your favor, because if they're too, then it becomes them having to build up the energy to actually cancel the order, to stop spending the money. So you've actually got that inertia working on your side. So it can be, in a whole number of businesses, the correct business model is to have a monthly membership program, continuity program, whatever you call it. And a good example here is gyms, where you just never meet a gym or you very rarely find a gym where you pay as you go, because it's a business model that would absolutely nosedive. Proof. Often the situation, and again, it depends on your business, but often the situation is that the reason people aren't ordering is because they don't believe what you have to offer. If you go around, and people are a lot more wary and cynical about advertising than you might realize. People see so many adverts every day. And as you leaf through a magazine or go around the internet, if you believed every single headline and every single offer you ever saw, you would just buy about 1,000 things a day. So often one of the most important things is proving to people that what you're offering actually does do what it says. And there are a whole load of ways of proving things, but just got a few examples. One of the most convincing is to actually somehow find an absolute real-life demonstration, solid evidence. And here's a great website, a company, LifeLock, #1 in identity theft protection. And their proof is their CEO is on their homepage giving his social security number and proving that, despite the fact he's giving his social security number out to the general public, that his company's services will prevent him getting any identity fraud. And so it's him putting his neck on the line in a dramatic kind of showmanship way, and in doing so, lending an enormous amount of proof that what they do actually works. Without that, you'd probably just not believe that their system actually works. It's enormously effective. Another great way of proof is testimonials, in particular testimonials from people in positions of authority, because obviously they're much more scarce, they're much more difficult to get. And here's an example of when we were working on the world phones that Ben mentioned before. On the page, one thing that had a great impact when we were testing the website, one thing that had a great impact on the conversion rate was that we were just collecting so many great testimonials. We were in Sky Mall, that magazine that you see on the airlines. We were recommended in MSN, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Budget Travel, Visit Britain, Inc. magazine, Time magazine, from us. So once someone reads a whole list of those, it becomes fairly obvious that this is a great product, just because otherwise, how on earth would you get so many brilliant reviews in independent sources? Here's another client that we've recently signed up, Holiday Extras. And you can see in a very subtle way, because it doesn't need to be like horrible in-your-face advertising. And they're doing a great way of doing it. Is if you just see here, this cartoon says, remember, 3 million bookings per year, 25 years experience, 26 UK airports. They're kind of showing their credibility and authority in a way that doesn't necessarily kind of scream across as horrible in-your-face advertising. But it's effective because you see this and you think, well, this is a company I can trust.